Yes.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay. Start.
Thank you, Dr. Dinesh, for agreeing and giving your time for this small interview that we have here. And some of my starting questions would be, what has been your involvement in Campbell collaboration so far, and what are your reflections on some of the, launch of Campbell South Asia, and how do you think, we can actually work together, or how you can think that Campbell South Asia can actually be, taken more evidence in that sense. What has been your reflection so far for this?
Well, I think for most of us, understanding how systematic reviews are done, or EGMs, etc., that's quite an education in itself. And also learning the systematic ways where you look at things about studies, searches, etc. So that's very good for us and our students.
Okay, great. And what has been your involvement with Campbell so far?
Actually, our involvement in Campbell started sometime about a year ago at one of the first workshops or conferences. And then I think either Denny or Howard got in touch. And in the meantime, we as the Independent Council for Road Safety International had been debating whether we should get into the business of doing systematic reviews. But it was our belief that we were not big enough and didn't have enough funds to do it on a consistent basis. And therefore we had decided not to do them. Because we thought there was no point doing just one. But we didn't think we were capable of doing many. And we didn't have the support staff, etc. But when we learned about the EGMs, then we thought that was something we could do. And that's how we started talking to Howard and John and Denny. And here we are, we signed our first protocol agreement.
That's really great. So I have another question for you. So what do you think are the key challenges, for the universities or for the policymakers in using the evidence, and for the researchers to actually doing systematic reviews, or what are the major challenges that are out there in South Asian region as well as in India?
Well, I really have never worried about whether policymakers use what I do. Or I think if you work at a university or are in the research business, and especially if you get your salary from taxes, your only job is to find out the truth as you know it and talk about it. Sometimes it gets heard, sometimes it doesn't get heard, sometimes people do the opposite of what you're saying in spite of the evidence. And that happens quite often, especially in areas where the public or people at large think they know what is correct. For example, in health, the first report I think on obesity was published in 1971 by the Surgeon General of the US, and that and others resulted in all foodstuffs in the West and even India now having their contents printed on every package. So that's what, almost 50 years. There's no evidence that the average weight of people is decreasing in any country. So it's not necessary that even when you produce evidence, people listen to you.
That's correct.
Forget the government, even people don't. And so, but that doesn't mean you don't produce it. Maybe it takes 3 generations or 2 generations for something to effect a change in society. And there are watershed points in societies where something suddenly happens and people start doing what has been done earlier. And so I think it's very important that we keep producing evidence and put it out there for whoever wants to use it. I really have never, of course, one always is very happy as a researcher if someone uses your evidence.
Yeah.
But our job is also training students on how to work and think. And I don't think it's that important to be relevant all the time, because what is irrelevant today may become very relevant 15 years from now.
Yeah.
And so, in that sense, I really think that we have to do what we do. And at times, even things which don't have complete evidence, then the issue, what you're talking about, what you're saying should be done is correct. and the evidence comes later. For example, Darwin's theory of evolution. He wouldn't have if he was in a good university today and produced the same evidence, he would have failed. His thesis would have been failed. So we have to be. It's important to have evidence. It's important to say what's good evidence. But we should. But it's a much broader issue on what is right, when it should be adopted. But I do think it's, and the reason we, from the Independent Council for Road Safety International, have ventured out on this, is because most governments in the world, including in the West, still promote the wrong policies for road safety, in spite of evidence to the contrary.
Okay, so that's, are you saying that this evidence is not being used by those, or?
For at least 40 years.
Okay.
For example, we know that public campaigns on road safety have very little effect. We've known that for at least 40 years. After randomized control trials done in the US, but the US government still spends huge amounts of money on campaigns.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean we don't keep producing the evidence, because there are certain things in the public domain which bureaucrats, people, governments like to do. And also in complex issues, there are differences among professionals. So the biggest problem is producing agreement among professionals. So even when you produce a systematic review, there can be a set of professionals who will say, well, not enough work has still been done.
Yeah.
And so this is not enough, and so the evidence is not valid. So at times policies don't get done in one direction because of the differences among professionals.
Okay. Thank you so much. I have just last question.
Yes.
So one of the key things that every organization or advocates is a key thing in research is collaboration, definitely, and of course we do want evidence to be used. So do you think what your organization and Campbell South Asia can do differently, or in a way collaborate together to make at least the research collaborations possible, and having more and more reviews and more evidence in this space of road safety, and so what can we do together in a way so that in coming years we have more reviews coming out of universities, coming out of as collaborative effort of our organizations?
Well, I think it's just making our work known, doing more things together, getting other people to do it. And whether universities or professors take up more reviews or EGMs is a matter of choice. For example, if I have a very good student who can do some really good original research in the field or theoretically, I wouldn't ask him to do a systematic review or her, because that's not fair, because a good academic department would not consider a project where a systematic review has been done as showing that person's scientific caliber. So I think it has to be done at different stages by different people who want to do it, or people who want to do, say, a review as a part of their longer thesis, etc. And it also depends on people's interest, personal interest. So we have to keep finding people who are interested in such things, getting them involved, talking to them, and convincing them. But it won't be all researchers would be interested.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Mohan. Just to summarize some of the key points that we discussed here, we have to make our work known. And we have to keep on producing evidence without keeping at back mind that evidence is not being used, because that is something which have to keep on working at, but that should not be a reason of not producing enough evidence. And of course we have to keep on talking and collaborating to each other. So we really look forward to collaboration with the Corsi and yourself, Dr. Mohan. It's been great to have you linked with Campbell and now to Campbell South Asia, and we really look forward to that collaboration. Thank you so much for your
Thanks very
time.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.